Hey there guys, I'm back to another video. With another year in the books, I want to talk about almost every game I played this year. I say almost because I'm omitting some games on purpose, either because I want to do full-length videos on them in the near future, or I already did a video on these games earlier this year. This isn't a top 10 or anything like that. This list is in no particular order whatsoever, and a lot of these games I haven't even finished yet. If I did finish it, you'll know when I talk about them. So let's jump into the first game. Tetris 99, a battle royale but with Tetris. I've always been a big fan of Tetris, whether it be on the original DS or my iPhone. Tetris is one of my favorite games of all time. Now we have a competitive version of Tetris, and all I need is a Nintendo Switch and an online subscription. Sign me up. Just like how I described it, it's a competitive version of Tetris in a battle royale style. 99 players in one lobby, and you have to be the last one standing to win. I've never won a game from what I can remember, but this game still brought a lot of enjoyment and playtime for my Nintendo Switch, especially when it initially came out. Probably one of the more quote-unquote sleeper hits on the Switch these days. It's sort of like a no-brainer for any Switch owner to try this game out at least. It's free to play, so there's no real harm in trying out probably the best competitive version of Tetris to date. The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening on the Switch. From reveal to release, I was keeping my eyes on this game closely. First, I prefer my Zelda games 2D rather than 3D. My favorite Zelda game is A Link Between Worlds, by the way, in case you were wondering. Second, the art style for this game really caught my attention. I'm always up for a cutesy art style in any of my video games. Lastly, I now get a chance to play Link's Awakening, but remastered for the Switch. What I wasn't so crazy about was the $60 price point. I understand they rebuilt the game from the ground up and all, but this game is pretty old. The improvement shouldn't be that costly to make this game full price. At most, it should have been around like the $40 to $50 price point, but I digress. I didn't finish this game, but I did have a lot of fun playing it, exploring the different dungeons, fighting the boss battles, discovering new gear. I enjoyed my time with Link's Awakening. The newly improved presentation obviously helps, but the gameplay tweaks made this game more 2019 friendly. Link's Awakening is definitely worth checking out for any Zelda fan if you haven't already, but maybe not at this initial $60 price point. Telltale Games' The Walking Dead: The Final Season. This game went through one hell of a roller coaster. Last year, when Telltale announced the company's end, many wondered if we would see the conclusion to Clementine's story. Not gonna lie, the season started off pretty strong. I was really heartbroken to hear we would potentially not see the end of Clem's story. Thankfully, Skybound Games picked up the pieces to give us the conclusion this character deserves. Many people disliked the previous season, A New Frontier, because of its attempt to introduce a new lead in Javier Garcia, with Clem as a secondary character. Clem is still present in the game, and she does have a major role in A New Frontier, but the focus of the season was clearly on Javier and his crew. Understandably, Telltale went back to a Clementine-focused story in the final season. Overall, I enjoyed the last season of The Walking Dead. I didn't love the ending we got. I wish things went a little differently, but I respect the ending Skybound Games decided to give us. I'm just really tired of the Walking Dead IP, but I'm really happy Clem's story finally came to an end. Resident Evil 2 Remake. This was my first adventure into the Resident Evil series, and I was prepared to get frightened by this new remake. In reality, I didn't get that far into the game. I sort of got stuck and lost motivation to keep playing, but my impressions of the game are fairly positive. The presentation is overall really solid. The gameplay is standard Resident Evil fare from what I can tell, limited resources with a lot of exploring to do. Maybe one day I'll pick the game back up, but right now I'm not too interested in playing Resident Evil 2. A solid remake? Yes. Was the game for me? Probably not. Might as well keep the zombie game train going with Days Gone. Oh boy, this game had literally zero hype leading up to the release. Probably the most underwhelming PlayStation exclusive release I've seen so far. No one was really looking forward to this game. Everything leading up to the release was either subpar or just okay. Nothing really brought anyone into the hype for Days Gone. The main reason I picked it up was because I wanted to see the game for myself. This was an open world post-apocalyptic game which hasn't really been done before. We've had so many open world games, but I haven't seen one in a zombie-like setting until Days Gone came out. Well, finally popping the game in, and it's alright. It's not inherently terrible, just incredibly boring. The story doesn't do much to bring you into the world of Days Gone. What brought people into the world of, let's say, The Last of Us was the beginning intro. Taking place in the past, right when the outbreak started, you gain sympathy for these characters. You get some sort of background and history with them. In Days Gone, you sort of have to piece the story together in your head through the dialogue. The gameplay is average too, all things considered. The gunplay is okay, and the motorcycle runs fine when you're controlling it. Also, since this is a open world game, the game clocks in at a whole 36 hours to complete. Like, that's just too long for me, especially for a game this goddamn boring. Days Gone isn't my most disappointing game of 2019 because there weren't any real expectations to begin with. Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled. I was really looking forward to this game leading up to the release, but I didn't buy it when it came out. I only heard good things about it until the microtransactions came into play, which is a whole other topic. Anyways, my thoughts on the game is that I've only played like an hour or two of it so far, but I can confidently say that this is probably the hardest kart racer I've played so far, and the only other notable ones would obviously be like Mario Kart and Sonic and Sega All-Stars Racing, but this game actually has a drifting mechanic that takes some time to learn. So like in Mario Kart, for example, you have to hit the drift button and then just let go when it turns blue or orange to get the boost. In CTR, you have to hit another drift button at a certain time to get the actual boost, and you can only do this up to 3 times in a single drift, but yeah, this game actually has a slight learning curve. Other than that, it's like most other kart races from what I can tell. It's a fun kart racing game, but with Crash Bandicoot. Fire Emblem Three Houses, probably my most anticipated Switch game of the year because Awakening is still my favorite 3DS game of all time. Fates wasn't all that great, but Three Houses was shaping up to be a really solid title in the Fire Emblem series. And from the couple of hours I played so far, it's a Fire Emblem experience from the 3DS titles, but now on a home console. I don't have much else to say since I'm only like 8 hours in and I haven't touched the game in a while, but the game is still really good. Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, a game I didn't expect to play this year, but I've been on a recent Star Wars high and decided to purchase the game the other week. It was only $40, and I'm always interested in a game that gets an overwhelming amount of positive reviews. The story of Jedi Fallen Order takes place 5 years after Revenge of the Sith and follows a young Jedi Padawan named Cal. Cal is being hunted by the second sister, who's been given orders to eliminate the Jedi Order. So Cal is trying to evade the second sister while trying to get stronger at the same time. The story is super engaging since you pretty much get the basic premise within the first hour. The gameplay is great as well. It's not a hack and slash, but very Dark Souls-like, as this gameplay style is becoming more popular. I haven't played a Souls-like game, unless you want to count the new God of War, but the combat is really good and tons of fun. Presentation-wise, it's a little bit rough on the edges. Graphically, the game looks fine, but the frame rate does tend to dip in certain sections, especially if you have a PlayStation 4 base model like myself. I heard about the PlayStation 4 Pro fixing it just a little bit, but it does happen still. It's pretty noticeable too, and it's never fun to watch when it does happen. I'm only 3 hours in, so my impressions of the game are fairly positive. I'm really eager to finish this game, and hopefully I can do it sometime soon. The last game I'm talking about today is Devil May Cry 5. This is the first DMC game in the main series I'm seriously getting into. I had a hard time getting into the original DMC, but I honestly really like the remake they did in 2013. I really don't know what's going on in terms of the story, other than the demons are here again and trying to destroy the Earth, and it's up to Nero, V, and Dante to save the day. I think that's what's going on. I didn't put much effort into paying attention to the story, to be honest. Gameplay-wise, though, this game is great. Nero's different hands to use in combat are a blast to use. V's unique gameplay style with his familiars is even more fun. And Dante is the icing on top, feeling like the best character to play out of the three. I'm more than halfway done with this game, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to finish it before the year closes out, fingers crossed. If you love hack and slash games, even if you never played a DMC game before like myself, I really enjoy hack and slash games, and I've never played a DMC game before this one. This game is definitely worth checking out purely based on the gameplay alone. So that is all I have for today. Thank you guys for watching this video. If you guys want more content, you can subscribe. I try to put new videos out on Saturdays. If you guys want to follow me on social media, Facebook and Twitter, you can do that as well. You can also check out my podcast, the Travis and Damien podcast. We do it every other week. We talk about everything within the video game industry that interests us and some other things like superhero movies and all that other good nerdy stuff. So that is all I have for today. Thank you guys for watching this video once again. I will see you guys in 2020. Game on, gamers.